What if the secret to feeling young at 80 was hidden in a bowl of soup? In a quiet corner of Japan, there's a village where people regularly live past 100. Not just live, but thrive. They garden, they laugh, they ride bicycles, and they do it without the pills, powders, and promises we chase in the West. Their secret? It's not a supplement, it's not a superfood, it's a ritual. Each morning, they start with a warm bowl of miso and a scoop of natto. Fermented foods, strange to some, sacred to them. And science is finally catching up, revealing something astonishing. These foods don't just nourish the body, they heal it from the inside out. But how exactly do they work? And is it too late to start if you live in Kansas or Florida or Ohio? Not at all. Because today, we're not just talking about food. We're uncovering an ancient rhythm, a quiet wisdom that could change how you eat, how you feel, and how you live. Let's begin. Imagine waking up at 92 with no aches, no medications, and a smile that reaches your eyes. In Okinawa, Japan, this isn't rare. It's expected. Here, elders don't retire to a couch. They tend gardens, walk to the market, and laugh with neighbors under the same cherry trees they played beneath as children. It's not just about living long, it's about living well. And the world is finally taking notice. Researchers have flocked to Okinawa for decades, hoping to bottle their secret. Is it genetics? Is it the ocean air? But when you sit at their tables, the answer becomes clear. It's in the food. Simple, humble dishes. A small bowl of rice, a spoonful of miso soup, some pickled vegetables, maybe a piece of grilled fish. No fancy labels, no calorie tracking. Just meals prepared with intention, shared with others and eaten slowly. At the heart of it all, fermented foods, miso, natto, tsukemono. Not trends, not supplements, just traditions. Okinawans don't eat to perform, they eat to connect. To their ancestors, their community, their bodies. Every bite is part of a rhythm that's been beating for centuries. And maybe that's what we've lost. In our rush for results, we've forgotten the ritual, the daily, quiet decisions that shape not just our health, but our joy. So before we dive into the how, let's pause with a question. What if your next meal could be more than fuel? What if it could be a return to something your body's been waiting for all along? Let's explore. If you opened a cupboard in a Japanese farmhouse 100 years ago, you might find something strange. A wooden tray, a bed of steamed rice, and a thin layer of white mold growing silently in the warmth. To most people, that's a sign to throw it away. But to the Japanese, it's the beginning of transformation. That mold has a name, koji. You can't taste it. You can't smell it. But koji is the quiet force behind miso, soy sauce sake, even amazake. It's the reason these foods are more than delicious. They're alive. Here's the magic. When koji spores land on rice or soybeans, they release enzymes, tiny workers that break complex starches and proteins into simpler, digestible forms. Think of it as a slow, patient chef that prepares your meal before it reaches your mouth. And the benefits? Remarkable. Koji doesn't just aid digestion. It unlocks deep, savory flavor, umami. It nurtures beneficial bacteria. It soothes the gut and satisfies the soul. But what's most extraordinary isn't what koji does. It's how it's treated. In Japan, koji isn't a commodity. It's a companion. Some chefs speak of it like a living being, something you listen to, care for, respect. And maybe they're right. Because in a world racing toward convenience, koji reminds us that true nourishment takes time. It requires stillness, attention, reverence. 1,000 years ago, someone discovered that rice left in the right conditions could evolve into something powerful. And they passed that knowledge down, not in textbooks, but in kitchens. That's not science, that's wisdom. And it's still growing, quietly, humbly, behind every bowl of soup and every drop of soy sauce you've ever loved. Across the Pacific, mornings look very different. In most American homes, breakfast means speed, a bowl of cereal, a piece of toast, maybe coffee on the go. But in Japan, especially among the long-lived elders of Okinawa, mornings begin with something warmer, quieter, deeper. A bowl of miso soup, a scoop of natto over rice. Simple? Yes. But healing? Absolutely. Let's start with miso. It's more than just a soup base. Miso is a living food made by fermenting soybeans with rice and koji, the same invisible chef we just met. The result is a thick paste rich in probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that gently wake up your digestive system like sunlight through a curtain. One spoonful stirred into warm dashi broth becomes something more than a meal. It becomes a morning ritual. Add tofu, scallions, maybe a piece of seaweed. It's grounding, nourishing, a signal to your body that the day has begun. Then there's natto, sticky, stringy, a little smelly. To most Western palates, it's odd. But in Japan, natto is revered. These fermented soybeans are packed with Bacillus subtilis, a probiotic powerhouse. It supports digestion, clears the intestines, even helps prevent blood clots. And it delivers something rare, vitamin K2, a nutrient that protects the heart and strengthens bones. In towns where natto is eaten daily, heart disease is lower. Lifespans are longer, and mornings feel different, not rushed, but rooted. To eat it, you stir quickly until threads form. Add soy sauce, mustard, maybe a raw egg, then spoon it over warm rice. The taste? Earthy, funky, but deeply satisfying. A little strange at first, then comforting, familiar, healing. These aren't just foods, they're anchors. They remind us that the first thing you put in your body each day matters, not just for digestion, but for how you feel, how you think, how you live. So tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for what's easy, ask yourself, what would it feel like to start the day with something alive? Have you ever had a gut feeling, a quiet nudge, a tightening in your belly before bad news, a sense of peace after a comforting meal? It turns out, those feelings are real. Because your gut isn't just a digestion machine, it's a second brain. Inside your belly lives a universe, trillions of microbes working around the clock. They digest food, yes, but they also make vitamins, regulate inflammation, and astonishingly, they help produce 90% of the serotonin in your body, the hormone responsible for happiness, calm, and emotional balance. So when your gut is out of balance, it doesn't just cause bloating. It clouds your mind. It dampens your mood. It steals your energy, even after 8 hours of sleep. But when your gut thrives, something shifts. Clarity returns. Emotions stabilize. That quiet, steady joy comes back, the kind we often forget is possible. This is where fermented foods step in: miso, natto, tsukemono, amazake. Each one is teeming with beneficial bacteria, probiotics that repopulate your gut with the good guys. These microbes don't just help you digest your meal, they shift your entire internal landscape. It's like planting wildflowers in a forgotten field. Slowly, the color returns. Modern science calls it the gut microbiome. The Japanese, they just call it breakfast. Because in Japan, these foods aren't hidden in capsules. They're not trends or hacks. They're woven into meals, quietly, consistently, 3 times a day. And research now confirms what tradition has always known. A diverse, healthy gut microbiome may be the foundation for long life, emotional resilience, and even sharper memory. So the next time you feel off, mentally, emotionally, physically, don't just ask what you did yesterday, ask what you ate. Because the road to feeling like yourself again might begin with a bowl of soup. In most Western meals, the main course takes the spotlight: steak, pasta, burgers piled high. But in Japan, something magical happens at the edges of the plate. Tiny dishes, barely a few bites, quiet, unassuming, and yet powerful. They're called tsukemono, amazake, and umeboshi, and together they carry centuries of healing in every bite. Let's begin with tsukemono, Japanese pickles, bright slices of cucumber, daikon, eggplant, fermented in rice bran, salt or miso. Each bite introduces beneficial bacteria, cleansing the palate and soothing digestion. In Kyoto, these aren't just side dishes. They're art. Prepared with care, aligned with the seasons, served not to impress, but to restore balance. Then there's amazake, a sweet, creamy rice drink that feels like a warm hug. Despite its name, sweet sake, most versions contain little to no alcohol. It's made by fermenting rice with koji, which transforms starch into natural sugar. No additives, just warmth and time. Elders sip it after meals. Mothers give it to children. It's often called the drinkable IV drip because of its gentle, nourishing qualities. Cold in summer, warm in winter, it steadies the stomach, calms the mind, and supports deep rest. And finally, umeboshi, a tiny wrinkled plum, deep red, fiercely sour, traditionally placed in the center of a bowl of rice, like the sun rising over snow. One bite jolts the senses awake, but it's not just flavor, it's function. Umeboshi neutralizes stomach acid, eases nausea, awakens a sluggish gut. Feeling off? Steep one in hot water for yubacha, a tea that revives the weary. In Japan, they say, one umeboshi a day keeps the doctor away. These small servings may seem insignificant, but their role is profound, because true nourishment isn't always loud. Sometimes it's tucked beside the rice, offered in silence, eaten slowly, and felt deeply. In the West, we love a shortcut. Feeling tired? Take a supplement. Bloated? Try this detox tea. Mood swings? Must be time for a new diet trend. We count calories. We fear carbs. We chase superfoods, then toss them aside when something shinier comes along. But somehow, we still feel off. Meanwhile, across the ocean, in Japanese homes, both old and new, the rhythm of eating looks very different. There's no panic, no pills, no shame. Instead, there's ritual, a bowl of miso soup before the meal, not as an appetizer, but as a way to awaken the stomach. Pickles after, to aid digestion and bring closure to the meal. Warm tea in small sips, not soda in gulps. Food is eaten sitting down, never rushed, never standing. Chewing is slow. Portions are modest. There's gratitude before eating, and rarely any guilt after. Even the indulgences, like ramen or tempura, are softened by something gentle. A small scoop of rice, a few bites of tsukemono, a cup of tea. It's not about restriction, it's about balance. In the West, we ask, is this low carb? Is it keto? Is it clean? In Japan, they ask, how will this make me feel after I eat it? It's a small shift, but it changes everything. Because when food becomes a conversation with your body, your season, your state of mind, it stops being a problem to solve and starts being a partner in your healing. Maybe we don't need more rules. Maybe we need more rhythm. You don't have to live in Kyoto to eat like the Japanese. You don't need a bamboo kitchen or a family recipe passed down for generations. All you need is a spoon, a bit of curiosity, and a willingness to slow down. Here's how to begin, right where you are. Step 1. Miso in the morning. Look for unpasteurized miso paste, usually in the refrigerated section of health food stores. Each morning, stir 1 teaspoon into a cup of warm, not boiling water. Add a few cubes of tofu or some chopped scallions if you'd like. Sip it slowly. Let it greet your gut like an old friend. Step 2. Upgrade your soy sauce. Swap out that plastic bottle on the counter. Look for naturally brewed soy sauce with the word fermented or koji brewed on the label. And you'll taste the difference, and so will your digestion. Step 3. Add a touch of tsukemono. Pick up a small jar of Japanese-style pickled vegetables at your local Asian market or health store. Cucumbers, radish, cabbage. Any will do. Start with just a tablespoon at lunch or dinner. It refreshes the palate and supports gut balance after heavier meals. Step 4. Try amazeki as a treat. Gently warm this sweet, non-alcoholic rice drink. Add a pinch of cinnamon or ginger. Sip it like a cozy, caffeine-free latte. It calms the system, supports sleep, and nourishes your belly overnight. Step 5. Be bold with natto or umeboshi. Ready to stretch your taste buds. Start small. Stir natto with mustard and soy sauce, serve it over warm rice, or steep half a wrinkled umeboshi plum in hot water for a tangy tea known to restore energy. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency, a little bit each day, like tending a garden. At first, you may not notice much, but over time, your digestion may feel easier, your energy steadier, your mood lighter, your sleep deeper. Because fermented foods don't change you overnight. They restore you. Meal by mindful meal. If there's one word that captures the heart of Japanese eating, it isn't fermentation. It's balance. Look at a traditional Japanese meal. There's no towering pile of meat, no oversized entree drowning in sauce. Just a few small bowls, a bit of rice, a sliver of fish or tofu, a spoonful of soup, some pickled vegetables, maybe a slice of fruit. Each dish is modest, but together they form a complete picture. Not a solo, a symphony. This balance isn't just on the plate, it's in the rhythm of the meal. Meals are shared. Food is chewed slowly. Gratitude is offered before eating. And satisfaction is felt, not from fullness, but from enoughness. In the West, we chase outcomes: weight loss, gut health, energy. In Japan, they cultivate rituals and let the outcomes follow. They don't eat fermented foods because it's trendy. They eat them because it's tradition, because it feels good, because it works. And maybe that's what we're really hungry for, not more hacks or health claims, but a way to come home to ourselves. So whether you try one new food or 5, whether you sip miso once a week or every day, know this: you're not starting a diet. You're returning to a rhythm. And in that rhythm, you may just find what the Japanese have known all along, that long life doesn't begin in the gym or in the pharmacy, but right here, in the quiet space between hunger and healing. If this sparked something in you, a curiosity, a calm, a new way of seeing your plate, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone you love. Subscribe for more stories that reconnect food and well-being. Because true health doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's fermented and quietly alive.